Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, English just doesn't make sense? You listen, you study, but when it comes to real conversations, it feels like everyone is speaking too fast. You are not alone. Many learners feel the same way. But here's the good news. Understanding English in real life is not about being perfect. It's about learning smart ways to listen, practice, and gradually make English a natural part of your life. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I know how frustrating it feels when you can understand a word here and there, but the full meaning just slips away. I've been there myself, and so have thousands of English learners around the world. But here's the thing. Struggling doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means you need the right approach. Imagine being able to follow conversations naturally, laugh at jokes in English, and even explain your ideas clearly without hesitation. That's not a dream. It's possible for you too. All it takes is small, steady steps every day and the right strategies to make listening, speaking, and understanding English much easier. Today, I'll guide you through these steps, and by the end, you'll see how simple daily habits can transform your English skills completely. Hi, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Best English Podcast. Today we're going to focus on one of the most important skills for speaking English easily, listening. Listening is not just about hearing words, it's about understanding meaning, catching small details, and connecting ideas naturally. In this video, I'll show you practical steps that you can use every day to improve your listening skills, build confidence, and understand real conversations. We'll use stories, examples, and simple exercises to make learning fun and effective. Whether you're at home, on the bus, or having a coffee break, these techniques will fit naturally into your daily life. By the end of this video, you'll have clear, actionable methods to start noticing improvements immediately. So, get ready to train your ear, learn new phrases, and feel more confident in English. The first and most important step in improving your listening is to focus on the main idea. You do not need to catch every single word. Instead, try to understand the general meaning of what is being said. Imagine you are listening to a story or someone talking about their day. Your goal is to answer one simple question. What is this about? Let's practice together. Imagine your friend Anna tells you, "Yesterday, I went to the park and saw the most amazing street performance. It was so funny and full of energy. People were clapping and laughing, and I couldn't stop smiling." Even if you didn't understand every word, you can catch the main idea. Anna went to the park, saw a street performance, and enjoyed it very much. That's it. That is enough for this step. You are not translating word by word. You are understanding the story in general. Why is this important? When you listen for the main idea first, your brain begins to understand the context and connect the ideas naturally. It reduces stress and makes it easier to catch details later. Try to practice this with short audio clips every day. Listen once, pause, and summarize the main idea in your own words. Tip: do not worry about missing words. Your brain will gradually notice patterns, repeated phrases, and vocabulary naturally as you practice this habit. The main idea is like the frame of a picture. Without it, the details may confuse you, but with it, everything makes sense. Once you understand the main idea, it's time to focus on details. This is where you start noticing specific words, phrases, and interesting grammar. Listen to the same audio again. This time you can pause, repeat, and try to catch new words. For example, From the street performance story, words like clapping, laughing, amazing, and energy describe the situation vividly. They help you imagine the scene. You can also try a technique called shadowing. Listen to a small part of the audio, then repeat it immediately, copying the rhythm, pronunciation, and intonation. Shadowing strengthens both listening and speaking at the same time. Important. If you find a word you do not know, try to guess its meaning from context first. Only check a dictionary if you cannot figure it out. Writing down new words or phrases is very helpful. You don't need to write everything, just the most useful and practical words. By practicing these two steps, main idea and details, you are training your brain to understand English naturally, just like you understand your own language. Now that you have understood the main idea and some important details, it is time for the final step, connecting what you hear to your own life. This step is often overlooked, but it is one of the most powerful ways to improve your listening and make the language stick. When you listen to a story, think about how it relates to your experiences, feelings, or thoughts. Ask yourself, have I ever experienced something like this? How would I react? What advice would I give? For example, let's return to Anna's story about the street performance. You might remember the last time you laughed at a funny show or a friend made you smile. You might think, happy. I love seeing people perform in public. It makes me happy. By making these connections, your brain links new English words to real emotions and experiences. Another example. Imagine Sarah is listening to a story about someone trying a new recipe and failing at first. She can recall the time she burned pancakes. Connecting the story to personal experiences helps her not only understand the language, but also relate emotionally. This makes it easier to remember phrases like couldn't stop smiling, full of energy, or totally exhausted. Try summarizing in your own words what you heard. Say it aloud or silently in your mind. For instance, for Anna's story. Anna went to the park, watched a street performance, and really enjoyed it. Then think, I remember feeling the same excitement last month when I went to a fair. Tip: you can also guess what might happen next. This engages your brain actively. Maybe Anna will try performing herself next time, or invite a friend to join her. Predicting helps you stay focused and sharpens your listening skills. This step is where real understanding begins. You are no longer just hearing words, you are thinking, imagining, and feeling. You are making the language your own. After practicing this regularly, you will notice that understanding English becomes easier, faster, and more natural. Daily Practice Challenge. After listening to any story or conversation today, write down or say 3 sentences connecting it to your life. For example, if someone talks about visiting a park, you might say, I went to the park last Sunday. I played football with my friends. It was sunny and fun. This is a simple but effective way to strengthen both listening and thinking in English. Remember, the key is not perfection, it's consistent, active involvement. Over time, you will naturally start catching more words, understanding faster, and even predicting what people will say next. This step makes English truly alive for you. Let's look at a real example to understand how steady listening can improve your English. Meet David, a man who moved from Germany to Ireland for work. His English was good enough for meetings, but he struggled in everyday conversations. Social situations, jokes, and local expressions often left him confused. He said, "In the office, I understand everything, but in the pub afterward, it's like they speak a different language." David decided to take control of the problem. He created a routine. Every evening, he listened to Irish radio and podcasts about culture and history for at least 30 minutes. At first, he didn't understand most words, but he promised himself to keep listening every day. Here's the key. David used a method called guessing from context. Instead of stopping to look up every word he didn't know, he tried to understand the meaning from the situation, the speaker's tone, and surrounding words. For example, if someone said, "He was absolutely wrecked after that long day," he didn't know wrecked, but knowing long day and hearing the tired tone, he guessed it meant completely exhausted. This skill is very important. In real conversations, you cannot pause every time you hear an unknown word. By practicing guessing from context, David trained his brain to understand English in real time. After 6 months of steady listening, something amazing happened. David could follow conversations at the pub, catch subtle jokes, and even use common Irish sayings himself. One day, someone said, "The crack was mighty today." He immediately understood it referred to fun and excitement. A year ago, he would have been completely lost. Lesson: steady, focused listening builds not only vocabulary, but also cultural understanding, humor, and natural speech patterns. Your brain learns how language works in context. Daily Practice Challenge. Choose one podcast or radio show today. Listen for 10 to 15 minutes and write down or say aloud the words or phrases you don't know. Then, guess their meaning from context before checking. This will train your real-time listening skill and confidence. Now that you see how steady listening works, let's talk about how to make it a daily habit. The most important thing is to keep it natural and fun. Even 15 to 20 minutes of focused listening each day can give excellent results. You don't need hours. Consistency is far more effective than long, irregular sessions. Start by choosing content you truly enjoy. If you like sports, listen to sports podcasts. If you love cooking, try a short cooking show in English. Interest keeps your brain engaged and makes learning enjoyable rather than a task. Next, fit listening into small moments of your day. Are you commuting to work or school? Listen to a podcast while traveling. Are you cooking, cleaning, or exercising? Play an English audio story in the background. Even short waiting times, like standing in line or during a break, can become valuable listening practice. Remember the 3-step method. Listen for the main idea. Don't worry about every word. Focus on what the story or conversation is generally about. Listen for details. Try to catch names, numbers, specific words or phrases. Connect and reflect. Relate what you hear to your own experiences or thoughts. Ask yourself, have I been in a similar situation? Can I imagine what happens next? What advice would I give the speaker? To make listening even more effective, you can use tools like transcripts or subtitles. Follow along while listening, then replay without the text to test your understanding. Shadowing is another great practice. Repeat phrases immediately after the speaker, copying rhythm, tone, and pronunciation. This improves both listening and speaking naturally. Variety is key. Don't only listen to one type of content or accent. Include interviews. Hear natural conversations and different ways of asking questions. Documentaries. Learn subject-specific vocabulary and clear narration. Audiobooks. Reread stories you already know to focus on listening without extra pressure. News reports. Expose yourself to formal language and new vocabulary. Casual conversations or podcasts. Discover idioms, slang, and informal expressions. For example, my student Sarah faced difficulty understanding multiple English accents before a job interview. She practiced by listening to BBC British, CBC Canadian, and ABC Australian podcasts daily. At first, it was hard. She felt confused and overwhelmed. But over time, her ear adjusted. By the interview day, even a strong Scottish accent didn't scare her. She could understand and respond confidently. Lesson: your listening strength grows by practicing regularly, exposing yourself to variety, and staying consistent. Short, focused daily sessions will gradually train your brain to recognize patterns, guess meanings, and follow fast, natural conversations. Daily challenge. Pick 3 short audio pieces today, each with a different accent or style. Listen carefully and try to summarize each in 1 or 2 sentences in your own words. This builds flexibility, comprehension, and confidence. Now, let's focus on some practical words and phrases you heard in the stories and exercises so far. Learning vocabulary in context helps you remember it faster and use it naturally in conversations. 1. Main idea. The central point of a story or conversation. Example: the main idea of the podcast was how to improve listening skills. 2. Focus. To pay full attention. Example: focus on the speaker and repeat the phrases aloud. 3. Guess from context. To understand a word by looking at surrounding words or situation. Example: if you hear wrecked after a long day, you can guess it means exhausted. 4. Relate to experience. To connect what you hear with your own life. Example: I related the pancake story to the time I burned my first cake. 5. Steady practice. Consistent effort every day. Example: steady practice helps Sarah understand different accents. 6. Shadowing. Repeating words or phrases immediately after hearing them. Example: shadowing the dialogue improves pronunciation and rhythm. 8. Active listening. Fully paying attention, thinking, and connecting ideas. Example: active listening helps you catch jokes and idioms in conversation. 9. Idioms. Common expressions that do not always make literal sense. Example: right under your nose means something is very close but unnoticed. 10. Confident. Feeling sure of yourself. Example: after daily practice, Leo became more confident speaking in public. 11. Step by step. Doing something slowly and carefully, one part at a time. Example: follow the step-by-step method for listening improvement. 12. Small wins. Little achievements that add up. Example: celebrate small wins like understanding one new phrase each day. 13. Routine. A regular schedule. Example: listening for 15 minutes every morning can become a helpful routine. 14. Connect and reflect. Think about how what you hear relates to your life. Example: after listening to a story, I reflected on a similar situation in my past. 15. Fluent. Speaking or understanding a language smoothly. Example: daily listening exercises gradually help you become fluent. 16. Natural expressions. Natural expressions. Words and phrases used by native speakers in real situations. Example: using a bit silly instead of a little foolish sounds more natural. Here's a small tip. When you learn these words and phrases, try to use them immediately. Repeat them aloud, make short sentences, or think about situations where you could use them. Challenge. Pick 5 of these words today. Create a short story or example sentence for each. Speak it out loud. This makes your brain actively connect meaning with use, helping you remember them better. Vocabulary is not just about memorizing words. It's about understanding how to use them naturally in real conversations. Over time, these small steps make your English richer, more natural, and easier to use in any situation. Now it's time to put all your learning into practice. Listening is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Let's do a few exercises you can follow every day. Exercise 1. Main idea listening. Choose a short English audio story, podcast, or even a news clip. Listen to it without pausing. Your goal is not to understand every single word, but to catch the main idea. Ask yourself, what is this story about? What is the main point the speaker wants me to understand? For example, if you hear a story about a person learning to cook, the main idea could be: they practiced every day, faced challenges, and improved slowly. This helps your brain focus on understanding the overall meaning, rather than getting stuck on unknown words. Exercise 2. Detail listening. Next, listen to the same audio again, but this time focus on details. Pick out specific words, phrases, or actions that are important. Ask, what exactly did they do? How did they feel? What steps did they take? For instance, in the cooking story, you could notice: he practiced in front of a mirror, talked to his cat, and slowly gained confidence. Exercise 3. Connect and reflect. The final step is connecting what you hear to your life. Think, have I faced a similar challenge? What would I do in that situation? How does this story make me feel? When you actively relate the content to yourself, your brain starts to understand and remember it deeply. This is how listening becomes meaningful, not just passive. Exercise 4. Shadowing. Shadowing is repeating what you hear immediately after the speaker. Choose short sentences or phrases. Listen and repeat them exactly, trying to copy pronunciation, tone, and rhythm. For example, I was very nervous at first, but I kept practicing every day. You. Repeat the same sentence aloud. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes each day. This improves not only your listening, but also speaking, pronunciation, and confidence. Exercise 5. Quick story retell. After listening, try to retell the story in your own words. Start silently in your head, then say it out loud. Don't worry about mistakes. Focus on expressing the main idea, details, and feelings naturally. For example, yesterday, I learned about a person who was afraid to speak in public. They practiced every day, even talking to their cat. By the end, they gained confidence and did well at a cooking showcase. Pro tip: Use short daily sessions rather than long, tiring ones. Even 15-20 minutes of focused listening is very effective. Choose content you enjoy.
Your brain will naturally want to understand it.
Mini challenge. Today, pick a short English story or podcast. Listen 3 times. First for the main idea, second for details, and third for connection and reflection. Then, shadow one paragraph and retell the story in your own words. This small daily habit builds your listening strength steadily. Remember, the key is consistency. Small, regular exercises are much more powerful than occasional, long sessions. Keep practicing, and over time, you'll notice that understanding English conversations becomes easier, faster, and more natural. Congratulations! You've worked through the exercises and stories today, and that is a big step forward in your English listening journey. Let's quickly review the main points so they stay in your mind. First, remember the 3-step listening method. Listen for the main idea. Focus on understanding the overall story or message. Don't worry about every word. Listen for details. Pay attention to important actions, feelings, or words that explain the story more clearly. Connect and reflect. Relate what you hear to your own life, thoughts, or experiences. This makes learning deeper and meaningful. Next, vocabulary and phrases are essential. Throughout your practice, you should highlight useful words and expressions like keep practicing. Continue doing an activity regularly. Step by step. Gradually, little by little. Face your fear. Confront something that scares you. Gain confidence. Feel more sure about yourself. Actively listen. Focus your mind fully on understanding. Break it down. Analyze or simplify something. Small steps. Minor actions that lead to progress. Everyday practice. Doing exercises regularly. Connect to yourself. Relate learning to your personal experiences. Notice patterns. See repeated ideas, words, or structures in language. Then, the exercises you tried are simple but powerful. Shadowing, retelling stories, listening for main ideas, and noticing details. By doing these regularly, your listening and speaking skills improve naturally. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. Some days will feel easier, some harder. That is normal. Also, keep your listening practice varied. Explore different content, short stories, podcasts, interviews, documentaries, news reports, and real conversations. Different accents, speeds, and topics help you understand English in all kinds of situations. Finally, the most important point. Consistency is key. Even 15 to 20 minutes a day of focused, active listening is enough to build strong skills. Celebrate small wins and notice your progress over time. Your brain is flexible and can learn to understand English better than you might think. So, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep reflecting. Make it a habit, make it enjoyable, and over time, you will find yourself understanding more, speaking more confidently, and feeling more connected to English in real life. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, every small effort counts, and every minute you spend listening is a step closer to speaking English naturally and easily. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly,